So hello everyone. So in our previous video we have discussed about the what are the important functions of the human resource management and what is performance appraisal, performance management, and about different topics we have discussed in our previous video. So today we will discuss about the compensation management. So what is compensation and what is the importance of compensation and how the compensation policies affects an organization overall performance and how it actually motivates the employees. So about these about these issues we will discuss in our video. So before going into the subject, first we should know what are the learning objective of this video. So by this video, by this lesson, this lecture, we can understand what is compensation. So we can clearly able to define what is compensation means, and we can also explain what are the various components of compensation. So there are n number of components are there, and in those what are the important components and how we will select those components we will learn in this video. And also the process of determination of compensation. So how much compensation should be given, for what job, what is the worth of the job, and for that worth how much we need to pay and what we need to add in those compensations. So we will know those entire process of determining the compensation, for what job how much we need to pay, that is also we can know, and factors considered in deciding the compensation. So there are internal factors, there are external factors, and how the internal and external factors actually the effects are while deciding a compensation, how they shows the impact. So about those things also we will learn, and the evaluation of the compensation. Finally, whether the compensation is performed well or not, compensation policies, so that is also we will learn in this video. So first we need to understand the definition of compensation. What is compensation means? You can observe the definition of the compensation, and in general terms, if you want to understand simply in a simple terms, so compensation means what the employer paid to the employee for his services during the employment. So for X person is working under some Y person, so that Y person will pay some Z amount of money to the X person for rendering his services. Okay, so that is compensation. For you will offer some services to some person, and that person in return will pay some financial benefits to you. Maybe it is financial or maybe it is non-financial benefits, or sometimes it may be both. So those benefits are rewards whatever you are getting back for giving your services to a particular person. So that is simply known as compensation. Okay, so that is the definition of compensation. And objectives of compensation. Why is compensation is important? So what is the main objectives? And by imposing a proper compensation, by designing a proper compensation policy in an organization, what we can achieve? So what are our main objectives? So you can see to attract it towards the organization. If we want to attract skilled people towards our organization, if we want to attract the best persons in the market towards our society, towards our organization, from the society or from the market, we need to attract them. So how we can attract them means, so normally the people, they'll consider the company which is giving, the organization which is giving the best package or providing the best compensation, they will automatically attract to that company or organization. So that is why we need to have a proper compensation policy. So your compensation policy surely attracts the best talent in the market. So that is the one objective, to attract the best talent or best skilled people from the market. We need to have a proper compensation policy. And the second one is that the employees are motivated for better performance. So compensation is one kind of motivation factor. So normally all the people, all the employees work for something, that is normally 90% of the people work for the monetary benefits. So they'll put all their effort and they'll put all the hard work, or they'll give you their services for getting a proper wage or salary in the form of compensation. So if they don't get proper compensation, if they don't get proper wages, if they don't get proper salaries, surely they will be demotivated. It will reflect on their overall performance. So that is why, to motivate the employees, to boost up the employees, and to get the 100% performance from that employees, we need to have a proper compensation plan. So that is why our compensation plan surely motivates the employee. So it is a one kind of motivational factor. And the employees do not leave the employer frequently. That is means the turnover ratio, the human turnover ratio, that means the number of employees will come into your organization and will leave the organization. The ratio surely shows your the people who wants to stay with you, they can only stay with you for the longer period of times when you compensate properly. So if you are not compensating properly, then people frequently what they will do means they leave your organization and they will leave the other organizations. So if the people are coming and leaving your organization, means that is not a good sign for any organization, because you will put a lot of you will give a lot of training to those employees, and for those training and development activities you will incur a lot of money on those activities, and for after giving the training and development, after working for 1 year, if they leave your organization, so surely it won't be a good sign for your organization. So you need to keep the employees and retain the employees. So for retaining the employees, for that one, we need to provide a good compensation package. So the main objective of the compensation is to attract the people and to retain the people and to motivate the employees. Okay, so for that one we need to have a proper compensation policy. So these are the main objectives. And next, principles of compensation. So actually this compensation builds on some principles. So we will see one by one. Ability to pay. The first one is ability to pay. So ability to pay means it is the ability of the organization. It is the ability of the organization. Because if you compare a very top MNC, if a good top MNC, they will provide a good salary, good compensation to the employees for a specific role. For the same specific role, particular role in a startup company, you won't get the same amount of package or same amount of salary or compensation, whatever you won't get in a startup company, because here the factor is ability to pay. The MNCs, they are well established, they have very good revenue sources, they have big market, so the profits, they'll enjoy a lot of profits. So in that sense, they could able to pay more. But when you go to a small startup, it is in early stage, so it is haven't tasted the profits, so they cannot give that much. So this is the difference. So your compensation purely depends on the ability to pay of the organizations. Normally the organizations which are getting higher profits and more profits, they'll pay more to the employees. Normally the organizations which are getting low profits, or even sometimes if some companies or organizations are in the losses, they'll pay less than the other organizations. So that is the one factor, ability to pay. And the second one, equity considerations. So equity considerations means equal pay for the equal work. All the employees should be treated equally. Means that means the manager and the attender should not get the same salary, but based on their job rank, based on their designation, all the same designated employees must get the same salary, at least a proportionate salary. So there should not be any huge difference between the same kind of jobs. Equal pay, equal work, equal pay. So if the two people are doing the same work, so they both should be compensated equally. So that is the one main principle. And non-discriminatory. So any employee in any organization should not be discriminated on the basis of gender, or on the basis of religion, on the basis of some geography or local or non-local status. So any external factor should not be taken into consideration to compensate an employee. You can take the performance. So the legal or the actual factors what are there, you can take into consideration those factors. You can take into performance into factors, you can take into loyalty as a factor, but you cannot take some extra factors like gender, base, religion. While compensating an employee, you should not consider these one. Whoever performs better, whoever gives their 100%, you should pay equally to them without any bias. So that is non-discriminatory. And legal compliances. So legal compliances means the local government or the local state or the local countries rules and regulations, whatever there during those compensation policy, you need to follow all those rules and regulations, because nowadays, because of the globalizations, people are moving from one country to another country for doing jobs. So in India, we have different kinds of layers, different set of rules, and if you go to Saudi or if you go to some US or Australia, those countries will have different set of rules regarding the compensation. So in India, normally what we will do means we will follow the minimum wage. At least every employee who are working in any organization at least should get the minimum wage. So the minimum wage means the wage which is required to fulfill the basic need of an employee and his dependents, like shelter, clothing, and some education like this. So like how we will have different policies for different countries. So while designing the compensation, while designing a compensation or while framing the compensation policies for an organization, we need to follow the local governments or the existing place where we are located. We need to follow the rules and regulations of that nation or state something. And performance orientation. So your compensation, already we have discussed in non-discriminatory. So if we want to pay more to any employee, it should be on his performance. If he is performing well, if he is giving good performance, if he is one of the factor for the organization development, then surely he can be paid more than the others. So the compensation must be on performance based. High performed person should get the high wage or high salary, and low performance employee should get the low wage or low salary. So these are the principles of compensation. On these principles, the compensation policies we will design. And components of compensation. We will have different components in compensation. We will have monetary and non-monetary components. So if you see the monetary benefits, basic wage or salary. Basic wage or salary. So this is normally we will get. So what services we are giving, based on that one we will get the wage and salary. Okay, so this is the directly related to the job. And if you observe dearness allowance, so dearness allowance means it is the one component which is there for to match up with the inflation rates. Normally if you see during some days or during some seasons, the rates or the prices of the goods or products will increase drastically, and sometimes they'll come down and they'll come up. So these, to adjust with these prices, the dearness allowance will be added to your salary. And incentives. So incentives also called variable pay. So incentives is purely given on your performance. This is performance based. The normal basic wage or salary, so everyone will get the same basic wage or salary, so without their considering their performance for a particular position or designation. But incentives, this is purely on your performance. If you perform well, so based upon your performance and based upon your so progressive, so they'll give you the incentives. So that is why it is called performance pay. So incentives like that. And bonus, normally on some days like before festivals or before something, the organization will give you some bonus. So it is the extra additional payment on your salary. So regularly you will get the basic wage, dearness and incentives. So bonus, some special occasions they will provide this bonus. And HRA, house rent allowance. So this is also actually changes from place to place. So if you are working in a metro city, you will get some percentage of HRA. If you are working in a rural areas, you will get some percentage of HRA. So these are the direct monetary benefits of any compensation. And you have non-monetary benefits also. So recognition, merit through certificates. So if you perform well, they'll give you a certificate or trophy, something like that. This is also one kind of motivation, but these are all non-monetary. So in this case, you will not get any financial benefits from the organization, but you will get the appreciation in the form of certificates, memos, like that. So, and offering challenging job responsibilities. Sometimes what they will do means, if you are a capable person, if you are performing well, they will give you a challenging role. That means apart from those other employees, if the job is assigned to you, means you will be treated as some exceptional person in that team. So you will be given recognition through giving a toughest job for you. So that means this person only can do this job. So offering challenging job roles is also one kind of recognition. So promoting growth prospects. So along with the monetary benefits, employees sometimes what they will think means, they want to improve themselves. So they want to grow up in their careers also. So providing those growth opportunities, maybe higher education, maybe any courses, added course, giving them training on different technologies, so like that. And supervision, job sharing, and flexi time. So job sharing and flexi time is also one of the mostly used component or benefit will be given to the employees, because flexi time means, so they will give you, your choice is given to you on what working hours you want to work, how many works you want to work. So they will give you that flexibility. So these are all the non-monetary benefits. And next, if we move to the types of compensation, we have the two types of compensation: financial compensation and non-financial compensation. As we earlier discussed, financial compensation means they will be given in the terms of monetary terms. They will be given in the monetary terms. That means directly the cash benefits will be given to you. And non-financial compensation means other than monetary benefits, they will provide some other benefits. So those are all comes under non-financial compensation. We will elaborately discuss in the next slide. So financial compensation, again, it will be classified into two types: direct and indirect. So direct compensation means hourly and monthly rated wages and salaries and incentives. So these are actually cash payments. They will directly credited to into your account after every month. Okay, so your salary and incentives. And indirect, so fringe benefits, PF, provident fund, and gratuity. So these are also actually cost to the company, but it will not directly, they will not every month, they will not directly give you to you. So what they will do means, the PF and gratuity, they will reserve somewhere for you, and once you get the retirement or once you leaving the organization, they will give you these benefits. So directly these benefits will not come into your salary, but this is also a portion of salary, but that later you will receive once you get retired or once you leave the organizations. Normally PF, once you get retire, you will get the PF amount, and you will also get some kind of pension based on the PF. And gratuity, when you leave the organization, if you work for 5 years or 10 years, based on that organization policy, they will provide you this gratuity. Okay, and these are the financial compensations, direct and indirect compensation. And next, non-financial compensation. So responsibilities, recognition, working conditions, and job sharing. So all these are non-financial. That means they'll give you the value, they will give you the value, and they will respect you, and they will treat you as some kind of exceptional person. So that is also one kind of compensation, but those are all non-financial compensation. And factors influencing compensation. So what are the various factors that actually influence the compensation? So labor market. So labor market means demand and supply policy. When you have more number of people for a particular job, you will be paid less. That means n number of people are available in the market for a particular job, so they won't offer you the high package, because the demand is more, the supply is more than the demand. Normally the rule of demand and supply, when you have higher demand, when you have higher supply, you will have very less demand. When you have very low supply, you will have high demand for that product or employee. So demand and supply will apply here. So labor market, when you have more number of people available for a particular job, you won't be offered high package. So when you less people are there for a particular job, you will be offered high package. So your compensation is depend on labor market, how many number of people available for a particular job or position. And cost of living, so they will consider cost of living also while designing your compensation. Why? Because if you are working in a rural area, so with a minimum amount of money you can survive in that one. So if you are working in a metro city or some kind of metropolitan cities like Bangalore and Hyderabad, some big cities, if you are working there, so the cost of living is very high, the house rents is very high, and transportation and the maintenance will be very high when you compare to the rural area. Then the cost of living is also they will take into consideration while designing your compensation. And comparative wages, that means existing rates for a particular job. What are the other competitor organizations are paying for this particular job? For example, if X job is there, for that X position, the other companies, how much they are paying, the competitors also will pay the same. Otherwise, what happens if they pay less than that one, the people won't join in your organization. So that is why the particular job in the market, how much the other competitor organizations are paying, the same amount will be paid. So that is also fixed when you are fixing your compensation or ways, that comparative rates, existing or prevailing rates also plays a key role. And government policies, in the earlier slide also we have discussed about the different different states or different countries will have different policies regarding to these wage and salaries or compensation. So when you particularly located in a particular geographical area, you need to follow the local governing rules, that means local legal compliances, that means rules and regulations of that particular government or that particular nation you need to follow. According to that, by confining, so for that rules and regulations, you need to design your compensation policy. And bargaining power. So normally when you go to the interviews, there they will decide after seeing your performance. If you performed well also, the bargaining power is also very much important. The negotiation process between you and the employer, so is also plays a key role when deciding your compensation. So the skills, the bargaining skills or negotiation skills also plays a key role. And ability to pay. So ability to pay of the employer, that means organization's ability to pay. Normally the MNCs are big players, they will offer high packages than the startups and the early stage companies, because they'll have a lot of profits and they have a lot of market share. So they can able to pay more than the startups for the same kind of position. So that is why you need to the ability to pay of the organizations also plays a key role in your compensation. And job requirements, the skill requirement, education and all these, what are the requirements that the job have. So if you have all the set of skills and all the requirements, the job is there, so you can get the required amount or the expected amount. So these are all the different factors that actually shows the impact on compensation. So while deciding a compensation, these factors, whether the enough number of employees are available or not, whether the cost of the living of that organization, whether the comparative wages and government policies, all these they will take into consideration for deciding your compensation. And next, when it comes to unit 4, we have wages. Okay, so wages means, you can clearly see the definition in the slide. So the normal simple understanding of wage means the amount paid to the labor for his services. So you have given services, that may be your efforts or whatever it may be, you have given your services to some X person. So that person will pay some monetary benefits, or in the form of cash or in the form of monetary, so he will pay something to you. So that is actually called wage. So types of wages, if we see the types of wages, we have minimum wage, real wage, fair wage and living wage. Now we will discuss one by one what is minimum wage, what is real wage, what is fair wage and what is living wage. So first we will see minimum wage. So minimum wage in India, we have Minimum Wage Act 1948. So according to the Minimum Wage Act 1948, the definition of minimum wage is that the amount of money or the wage which is required to sustain and to fulfill all the basic needs of the employee and his dependents. Maybe the dependents count maybe will confine to 3 members according to this act. So overall, in a family of 4 members, with that ways they can able to fulfill their basic needs like food, shelter, clothing. So along with those, some educational support to the children. So these are the ways which satisfies all these basic needs, that is called minimum wage. And living wage. So living wage means, so we already discussed, minimum wage means to satisfy our basic needs, food, shelter and clothing, the wage which is required, that is called minimum wage. So when it comes to living wage, not only the basic needs, also some other needs like health, so insurance. Some people may get sick at some point of time, so to go to hospital they need some extra amount of money. So the medical and education for children and protection against ill health. So all these are, so the wage which satisfies these extra, I mean apart from those basic needs, so that is called living wage. And fair wage. Fair wage means, so the prevailing rate of a job in the market. That means for all the remaining organization, the industry, how much it is paying, your organization is also pay the same amount of money. For example, other companies for the same work, they are paying some amount of wage. Your company also must provide the same wage. So same work, same pay. So that is called fair wage. So what are the prevailing rate in the industry, that wage must be, prevailing wage in the industry, that wage must be given to the employee by the organization. So that is called fair wage. And real wage. So real wage means it is actually deals with the inflation. Normally if you are getting a particular amount of wage, in normal days it is sufficient to sustain or survive. But sometimes during the inflation times, all the prices of the products or goods or services or daily needs, whatever we required, those prices will increase. On that day, with the same wage, you can't purchase all the goods or products whatever required for your daily sustainability. So at those times, this wage cannot be treated as a living wage or minimum wage. So on those inflation days, you need to pay more than. So real wage means, so how many products you can buy, how many goods you can buy with that wage. So that wage is known as real wage, real value of. So it is considered with the money. So normal days you can buy all the expenses, groceries or whatever you required for your family. On normal days you can buy with your wage, but the same wage on inflation days you cannot buy all the products. So that is the difference between real wage and living wage. Okay. And wage and salary administration. So wage and salary administration means establishment and implementation of the sound policies and practices of the employee compensation. So wage and salary administration means, so designing a policy and implementing those policies regarding wage and salary. Okay, so that is simply called as wage and salary administration. And wage and salary administration includes different methods like job evaluation, survey of wages and salaries, development of wage structure, incentives, control of compensation cost. So these are all the wage and salary administration need to consider about all these things. So we need to do the job evaluation. So job evaluation means nothing but getting the worth of the job or evaluating the worth of the job. Why we need to evaluate or why we need to know the worth of the job means, to set a compensation or to set a wage for a particular job, we need to know how much important that job is and how much worth that job is having. So that is why we need to do the job evaluation. And wage and salary administration, we will do the job evaluation. And survey of wages and salaries, we need to do the survey on wages and salaries. Why? Because the other competitors, how much they are paying normally for this job, what are the industry rates, we need to understand all those. Otherwise what will happen, if we don't know how much others are paying, sometimes we may pay higher than those one and sometimes we may pay lower than the prevailing rates. Both are not good for the organization, because if you are paying more than the others means you are losing your profits and all these things. If you are paying lower than the other organizations, means the skilled and talented people will not come to you because of the low packages or low compensation. So that is why we need to do the proper survey of wage and salary, and based on that one we need to design our wage and salary policy. And the incentives, how much other people are giving for this work, and that variable pay, how much they are giving. So we need to identify that one also. And the compensation cost, control of compensation cost. So to control the compensation cost, we need to follow a specific set of things. That means how much we are profits are we are getting, and how out of those profits what percent of salaries we are giving. So we need to calculate all those, and normally we will do all these in wage and salary administration. And objectives of the wage and salary administration: fair and equitable remuneration. A fair remuneration should be given, and equal pay should be given to the equal work, and on without any discrimination or bias. So that is the one main objective. And to attract competent personnel, to retain and to improve productivity. So normally if our wage and salary policies are very good, normally people come to the organization and they'll give their 100% performance. So with that, automatically the organization performance improves. So these are the main objective of the compensation. And job evaluation, you can find the clear definition of the job evaluation there. Normally, in simple terms, if you want to understand what is job evaluation means, so it is the measuring the worth of a job. It is the measuring the worth of a job. So sometimes already we discussed, to rate a job or to compensate a job, we need to measure the worth. So that is why job evaluation will be done. And the process of job evaluation, if you observe, the first step is identification of job for evaluation. So what kind of job we want to evaluate, that we need to identify. And after that, gathering the relevant data. So relevant data means what are the job description of that, what are the job roles and responsibilities, what are the skill set that is required. So gathering all the relevant data about that particular job is the second step. And the third one is determination of job determination of job ranking. So determination of job ranking means, if you observe in an organizations, there may be n number of positions and multiple positions will be there. So we need to, in a hierarchy, we need to identify which jobs comes first and which job comes after that one. So we need to identify the rank of the job. That means, so which job is in first place and which job is in second place. So we need to identify in third step. And selection of benchmarks jobs. So what is the standards of that job? So what are the benchmark levels of that job? We need to identify in this step. And wage and salary surveys for the same kind of job, for the same kind of responsibilities, or for the same kind of skilled people, how much other people are giving, what are the industry rates, we need to identify in this one. And we need to review the entire process, and we need to give the feedback. So if any deviations are there, again we need to start from the first step. So this is the process of a job evaluation. How we will measure the worth of a job, by seeing this we can understand. And next one, methods of job evaluation. So we have mainly two methods of job evaluation, quantitative and non-quantitative. So in quantitative we have point rating method and factor comparison method. So in point rating methods, what we will do means, we will give some points to the job. So based on different criterias, we will take into different criterias of that job. That means whether we will take a X job and we will take Y job and Z job. This X job is greater than Y and Z. It is more important than the Y and Z. We will discuss with that one. And so based on that one, we will give the points. So the overall points we will calculate for the each and every individual job. So after calculating the points, the job which are getting higher points will be ranked in the first order, and the job which is getting next, we will get into the next, we will give it the next position. So that is point rating. And factor comparison. So factor comparison, we will take some basic factors, like education, skill, and other any technical skills we required. So we will take all the factors about a job, and based on those factors we will grade the jobs. So the job which are required more number of factors will be given higher priority, and after that the priority will be changed on the number of factors that job involve. And in non-quantitative methods we have ranking method. In these ranking method, what we will do means we will give the rank to the jobs. Like in an organization we'll have professor, associate professor, assistant professor, like that we will give a ranking. So based on that ranking we will decide which job is important, which job is in top level and which job is in lower level. And job classification or grading. So in this one, normally what we will do means we will give grades like A, B, C, D. There are 4 grades, and this job is comes under A grade, and this job is comes under A grade, and these jobs are comes under D grade. So we will do the classification, and we will classify the jobs into some grades. So A grade people will get these pay scale, and B grade people will. So based on the grade we will decide the compensation. So these are all the methods of job evaluation: point rating method, factor comparison methods are the quantitative methods, and non-quantitative methods ranking and job classification or grading. And methods of wage payments. So methods of wage payments, we have time rate system, piece rate system, and balance or debt method. Okay, so now we will see how we will calculate a wage in time rate system, and how to calculate wage in piece rate and balance or debt method. And time rate system, the formula for calculating wage in time rate system is number of days worked into rate per day. Number of days worked into rate per day. For example, if a person is worked for if a person is worked for 5 days and rate per day he is given 5 rupees or maybe 3 rupees, then the total wage will become 15 rupees. So in time rate system what we will do means we will take the number of days or maybe number of hours he worked. So number of hours or days worked and rate per day. For example, if he worked for 5 hours or 5 days and per each hour it is 3 rupees, then his total wage will become 15 rupees. So in this way we will calculate the wage in time rate system. In time rate system we will consider only the time, the days are worked he worked. We will not consider about the output, how many units he has produced, that we will not take into the consideration while deciding the wage. We will only consider the number of hours or days he has worked for a particular period of time. So we will consider the time only. Okay, and next is suitability of time wage system. So where we can apply this time wage system. So normally in organizations where quality is more important than quantity. So because in time rate system we already discussed, we will not consider about the number of units, we will only consider about the number of hours he worked. So that is means here quality is the more important thing than the quantity. So organizations which require more quality than the quantity, the time wage system is suitable for them. And measurement of work is not simple or not possible. In some kind of works we cannot measure the work on the basis of units. For example, if you take a manager, so we cannot divide his he cannot calculate his work on the basis of units, because under his management a number of people are works, so we cannot classify or we cannot decide how much work he has worked. So that is why where the measurement of work is not possible in a quantitative manner, there also we will use this time wage system. And collective efforts or a group of workers are required. So normally when 3 or 4 people are collectively works, then we cannot decide ways on individual basis. So in these kind of these kind of types of organizations we will use this wage system. And next, if you observe piece rate system, so it is quite opposite to the time rate system. Normally in time rate system, what we will do, we will calculate the wage of a person on the basis of number of hours or days he has worked. But in piece rate system, what we will take into consideration means output, the number of units he has produced, and rate per unit. Okay. So the number of units, for example, an employee produced 30 units and the per unit rate is 2 rupees. Then his total wage will become 60 rupees. Okay. So here what we will do, we will consider the number of units produced, whereas in time rate system we will consider only the time, but here we will consider the output. So the number of units produced by an employee and the rate for the each unit, so that we will take into consideration, and we will calculate the wages based on the number of units a particular employee produced during a working hours. So this is piece rate system. Now we will observe where the suitability of piece rate system. So where we can apply this piece based system. So work is not art based or craftsman oriented. So normally where the quantity is more important than the quality. So here the number of outputs is important, but whether the output is quality, having quality or not, that they won't consider. That they require number of outputs, quantity. So where quantity is more important than quality, in those areas we will apply this piece based system. And one more thing is where output is measurable. So in time based system also we have discussed that where output we cannot easily measure or calculate, there we will apply the time based system. But where we can measure the output in number of units or number of products or number of goods, where specifically in quantitative terms we can measure, there we can apply this piece based system. And the third method is balance or debt method. So balance or debt method is a combination of piece based system and time based system. So by seeing this you can easily understand. So if an employee works per a week, and per week his time waste, that means without any considering how much he has produced, if he works for an entire week, he will get the 250 as a 250 as a week wage. Per week he will get the 250. For example, assume that first week he has produced the 300 units. Sorry, first week he has produced the 150 units. So per unit rate is 2 rupees. For example, first week by producing 150 into 2, 300, he will get as a piece waste. Under piece waste system he will be given 300, but the time waste system for that particular job per week is only 250. Normally in these kind of situations what the organizations will do means they will put these 50 rupees as a balance under his name and they will give only 250. Although he earned 300 rupees, they will give 250 and the remaining 50 they will be credit in his account and they will maintain that as a balance. Coming to the second week. So in second week he has produced 100 units. He has produced 100 units and per unit it is 2 rupees and totally he will get 200 rupees. Okay. So according to the time waste system we need to give 250, but he has only produced 100 units and he is only eligible for 200 according to the piece waste system. In this time what we will do means whatever we have maintained with us, the extra 50 rupees that he has gained during first week, we will adjust those 50 rupees in the second week and we will give a total of 250 rupees as a wage for the second week. So this is what we will do means whenever the employees work more and we will reserve those extra whatever he produced or whatever he achieved and we will keep it aside, and whenever he performs low we will adjust that extra amount to this one. So that is why it is called a balance method. And the third week he has produced 125 units, so per unit 2 rupees, and here piece based system is also 250 rupees, and according to the time based system is also 250 rupees. So you don't have any credit or debit, so the total balance also will become nil. So this is why balanced debt method. So employee welfare, next concept is employee welfare. So employee welfare means nothing but making working conditions better and hygienic, and it should motivate the employees to work more and more, and taking care of the employee safety, and all these comes under employee welfare. So employee welfare is also very much important thing for every organizations, because if the employees are protected well, if the employees are working in a hygienic and motivating conditions, they will give their best and they will produce more, and automatically the organizations will develop, and the organization's performance also will improve. So that is why employee welfare is very much important. And normally we have two types of welfare measures: statutory welfare measures and non-statutory welfare measures. So statutory welfare measures means the government will, according to the government rules and regulations, according to the legal compliances, every organization must provide these facilities to the employees. So that is why those are all called statutory. Statutory means compulsory, they need to provide, for like washing facilities. So normally in manufacturing industry and some other coal industry and other mine industry, they will work with a lot of dust and all these things. So once they finish the work or before going to the lunch, they need to wash their hands and entire body sometimes. So that is why washing facility is very much important. And facilities for sitting and canteens for food and all these things, and first aid kits. So normally small incidents happens, small accident happens. So as a precautionary, we need to have first aid kit with within the working area premises. So and restrooms and drinking water. So every organization must provide drinking water to the employees. So that is why these are all compulsory measures. And welfare officer, every organizations which are having a sufficient number of employees, they need to maintain a welfare officer. Actually these welfare officer must take care about all these facilities, and whenever the employees have any problem with those working conditions, and in those they are having any problems regarding welfare, they need to able to contact this welfare officer. So these are the statutory welfare measures. And next, when it comes to non-statutory welfare measures, we have housing. So normally some industries or some companies, they will provide the housing. That means they will build some colonies, and they will some group houses they will build, and they will allocate to their employees. So that housing facility. And transportation. So transportation means cab facility or bus facility from their living area to organization. So that is one of the non-statutory. And non-statutory welfare measure means these are all not compulsory. This is the choice of the organizations. If the organization wants to provide, they can provide. If the organization doesn't want to provide, there is no obligation for the organization. So that is why normally many of the organizations will provide these: housing, transportation, recreation, and leave travels. Normally for the employees, they'll give some they'll offer some packages to go for some other countries or other states. Okay, so and maternity benefits. Normally for the female employees, they'll give the maternity benefits, the maternity leave, and during the maternity they'll pay the salary. So all these comes under maternity benefits. And medical facilities like insurance, group insurance, health insurance. So some medical benefits also will be provided by the organization. These are all called non-statutory welfare measures. And our fifth unit is trade unions. So trade unions means a voluntary association of employees formed for the betterment of their working conditions and betterment of their wage and compensation policies. So normally in an organization, a group of people voluntarily without any force, they will form as a group, and they will register them under a government's trade union act, and they will form as a union group, and that group is known as trade union. Normally these trade unions, what they will do means they will fight for the better working conditions. So we will see the next slide. So these are the functions of trade union: safeguarding the workers' rights and workers' rights, So they will always, what they will do means, their main functions, their main roles and responsibilities is to always they'll try to, and they will try to communicate with the what are the problems the employees are having with the top management, and they will try to solve those one by negotiation and bargaining process. And to help the workers financially, they'll have a fund with the trade union. So if any workers having any problem, so under some conditions they will provide the financial support also. And regarding compensation, or regarding working conditions, or regarding any safety measures, or regarding any accidentals, these trade unions will take a lead to solve all those issues with the management. So these are the main functions of trade unions. And collective bargaining, so this is the one way of one method which we can settle the disputes. So normally in dispute settlement mechanism we will use this collective bargaining. So whenever we have any disputes with the management, maybe in the regarding compensation or regarding any other issues, collective bargaining is the one process. In this process, what will happen means, both the parties will sit together and they will negotiate and they will discuss about the problem, and they will try to come to a common solution. They will try to form a common solution. So that is the main aim of the collective bargaining. And if you observe the types of collective bargaining, we have distributive bargaining. So in distributive bargaining means it is win-win. Normally this type of is called win-win. So in this type of collective bargaining system process, what will happen means, both the parties, so all the employees and also employers, both will win. That means they will both come to a common agreement, and they will resolve their issues by having a smooth discussion. So a win-win process is called distributive bargaining. So integrative bargaining process and productive bargaining process, and we have composite bargaining process. So in productive bargaining process, what they will do means, actually they will discuss productive issues. I mean, like other than the compensation, there are so many other factors will be there in an organization. So they will also have a discussion with the management on those issues. So these are all different types of collective bargaining process. And process of collective bargaining, if you observe, preparation, discuss, propose, bargain, and settlement. So first what we need to do means, we need to prepare about the topic. I mean it is one kind of discomfort experience by any employee. So that actually why stress causes means, there are several factors. There are internal factors, there are external factors. Okay, but in organizations, employees must be stress free, otherwise it will directly shows impact on their performance. So we need to follow the stress management also in the organizations. So factors of stress, why actually stress causes. So individual factors, family problems, economic problems, lifestyles, working conditions, organizational tasks, and organizational leadership. Okay, we have different kinds of leadership. We have autocratic, we have democratic, and these leaderships also actually causes a lot of stress on the employees. So these are actually causes this stress. But sometimes stress is also, we can take into two ways. One is positive stress and one is negative stress. Sometimes by feeling stress, you will tend to work more and more, and you will put all your efforts, and because of this stress you will achieve good results. Sometimes that stress is also work in a negative way, that actually creates a lot of burden to you, and it makes you emotionally weak. Then in those situations your performance will be come down. So stress can be worked in both ways. So as a management, as a organizations, what they need to do means, they need to create that stress into a positive manner to get the best outcome. And HR audit, normally audit means whether everything is going in a perfect manner or not, whether is everything going whether all the policies or practices whatever we are following, whether they are working in a proper manner or not. Checking all those comes under audit. Normally HR audit means all the human resource practices and policies whatever we have designed for an organizations, whether they are giving the best results or not. Checking all those comes under HR audit. So purpose of HR audit so whether our company is working with the governing laws or not, so whether we are following government rules and regulations or not, and what improvement for the improvement of the organization, and resource allocation, so and improvement of the future. So if any organizations want to improve themselves, they want to improve their performance, they need to take care about their employees. So how they can know the employees performance means by doing a proper HR audit, whether their HR policies and practice is actually making the employees better or not. So by reviewing all those, we can, if the everything is work, it is okay. If it is not showing enough impact on the people, then we can review and we can we can modify our policies. So that is why the main purpose of the HR audit is that one. Thank you.